إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار أما بعد. Continuing our classes on the book of Sheikh Abdul Razak ibn Abdul Muhsin al-Badr hafidhahum Allah, Jaa'a Shahru Ramadhaan, which is a treatise by the Sheikh to help us to prepare adequately for the coming month of Ramadan. And on the PDF that was shared for the class, we stopped at the end of the 12th page. And yesterday, if we do a bit of a recap on the affairs that the Sheikh talked about, a particular thing that one of the things that we ended on was that the Sheikh, he mentioned, Hafidhahullah, that in preparing to welcome the month of Ramadan, people can be categorized into three categories of people. And the first category of people are those who prepare for food and drink as if the month of Ramadan is the month of food and drink, and they go overboard in preparing for the food, in buying different kinds of food, and they cannot take from it except a little, and most of it go to waste. And he mentioned the second category of people are those who prepare adequately as they should for the month of Ramadan, that they prepare adequately, they prepare themselves for a lot of a'malul khair and a lot of many other things to do, inshallah, that will help them to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then be part of all of that. And then a third category of people, the Sheikh, he mentioned, are those who prepare themselves for play and amusement and for things that will waste their time, the things that will cause their very expensive, highly valuable time in the month of Ramadan to go to waste. So they prepare themselves for play, they buy things of play and amusement, and that's it, and they just waste their time. And another category of people is those whose the way they relate to Ramadan is the way they relate to every other month. It doesn't matter, nothing in them changes. The things that they do ordinarily in the other months are the same things that they do even in Ramadan. And the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he has reminded us that this is a blessed month, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us in the Quran that in this month, in Laylatul Qadr, khayrun min alfi shahr. And the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam told us that in the month there is a night that is, one night is better than 1,000 months of, like the ulama have explained, that worship in that night is better than worship in 1,000 months. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to witness this night. One of the things that inshallah I would like to draw our attention to is generally how the things that we do, that we waste so much of our time and we waste so much of our age. Many of these things, لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع لا في الدنيا ولا في الآخرة. They do not benefit, they have zero benefit even in the dunya, how much more the akhirah. Rather, many of these things that we do, they actually harm us. They harm our dunya, and of course, more importantly, they harm our akhirah. And these are the things that we must, subhanallah, that we must call ourselves to account and, cut ourselves off of these affairs. From the ni'am that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, the ni'mah of communication, like the mobile phones, the smartphones that we have around us. And it is saddening, it is so disheartening that you find grown-up Muslims, they waste hours upon hours, day and night, on things that have zero benefits. They play games so much so that the games themselves become tired of other people playing. And they watch movies and series, and la ilaha illallah, you can't even imagine the amount of time that one wastes in these things. And we want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like the Sheikh gave an example, at the time when when they put up competitions and the prizes for these competitions are like 1,000 riyal or less or even a little more than that, you find the effort that people put in order to get these prizes is amazing. How much more when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to save you from hellfire, is going to prevent you from entering hellfire, and you will be blessed with Al-Jannah. And do you think this is a time to waste and to put into amusement and to play? Subhanallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, beseech Him to help us to wake ourselves up and make the perfect use of our time in Ramadan and outside of Ramadan as well. And so inshallah we will continue with the book. In the PDF that was shared, we are on the 12th page. That's the last part of the 12th page, and we will continue from there. And the Sheikh continued, he said, وَقَدْ جَاءَ فِي حَدِيثٍ آخَرٍ أَنَّ النَّبِيَّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ وصف هذا الشهر بأنه شهر الصبر قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. And the Shaykh said it has come in another hadith that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he described this month as the month of patience, the month of sabr and perseverance. قال عليه الصلاة والسلام, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, صيام شهر الصبر صيام شهر الصبر وثلاثة أيام من كل شهر صيام الدهر. That to fast for a month, that is patience. That when one fasts for 1 month, that is patience. And to fast 3 days in every month is as if one has fasted the entire year. Just like it is very well known that the least inshallah that Allah gives you of ajr when you do a good deed, of course your good deed meeting the condition of al-ikhlasi wal-mutaba'ah, that one does it for Allah's sake alone and he follows the example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in doing that, the least of the ajr that you get is like tenfold reward for that action. So when you fast 1 month, it is as if you have fasted 10 months. And when you fast 3 days, so in a year there are 12 months, and when you fast for 3 days, each day is counted for you as if you have fasted for 10 days. So if you fast 3 days in a month, it's as if you have fasted 30 days. So that completes the other the other 2 months that are. So it is as if one has fasted the entire year. And the Shaykh, he continued, he said, فَوَصَفَ بِأَنَّهُ شَهْرُ الصَّبْرِ. And the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam described this, that it is Shahru Sabr, it is the month of patience. وَمَعْنَى ذَلِكَ, and the meaning of that, أَنَّ لِلْمُسْلِمِ فُرْصَةً عَظِيمَةً فِي هَذَا الشَّهْرِ الْكَرِيمِ أَنْ يُوَرِّضَ نَفْسَهُ وَيُعَوِّدَهَا عَلَى الصَّبْرِ. And that it is, the meaning of that is that for the Muslim, it's a great opportunity, it's a very great chance in this month, in this great month, in this blessed month, that he trains and he trains himself, and then he trains his person, he trains his mind upon patience in all of the forms of patience. يعني بأنواعه على الصبر بأنواعه كلها, in all forms of patience. الصبر على طاعة الله, والصبر على معصية الله, والصبر على قدر الله تبارك وتعالى, فهو موسم للصبر. And all kinds of patience. The patience is in 3 forms. The first is الصبر على طاعة الله, that one is patient upon obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he is patient in doing the things that he has been instructed to do by Allah. والصبر عن معصية الله, and to be patient in staying away from the things, from disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالصَّبْرُ عَلَى أَقْدَارِ اللَّهِ, and to be patient upon the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written that will happen to you, upon the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he says, فَهُوَ مَوْسِمٌ لِلصَّبْرِ, and meaning that one is patient upon doing the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instructed us to do, even if that is difficult. And then one is patient to stay away from ma'asiyah, from disobeying Allah, even if one's heart desires that. and then one is patient upon the things that Allah has written upon us, upon the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if our hearts do not like that. Now, and the Shaykh continues, say, Wallahu Jalla wa Ala yuwaffi sabirina ajrahum bighayri hisab. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives the reward of those who are patient, their reward without measure. وشهر رمضان موسم عظيم موسم هو أعظم مواسم الصبر. And this, the month of Ramadan is the greatest season, is the greatest opportunity, the greatest special time for patience. فيبدأ المسلم من أول يوم من أيام هذا الشهر المبارك يؤود نفسه على الصبر. And a person, the Muslim, he starts his day from the first day of Ramadan, of this blessed month of Ramadan, while training his person, training himself upon patience. الصبر على العبادة والطاعة والذكر والقرآن والصلاة والصيام وغير ذلك مما أمر الله تبارك وتعالى عباده به. That he is patient upon worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, upon obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, upon the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, upon the recitation and acting upon the Quran, upon salat, upon fasting, upon praying, and other than that, in all of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instructed his servants with. So the Muslim, the believer, he is patient in carrying out all of these instructions. He said, and the Shaykh continues to say, وَيُعَوِّذُ نَفْسَهُ عَلَى الصَّبْرِ عَنْ مَعْصِيَةِ اللَّهِ. And he, the Muslim, he also trains his person, he gets himself ready upon staying away from disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَيَتْرُكُ مَعْلُوفَاتِهِ وَالْأُمُورَ الَّتِي اعْتَدَاهَا مِنْ طَعَامٍ وَشَرَابٍ إِلَى غَيْرِ ذَلِكَ في نهار رمضان. And then that a person he also compels himself by from staying away from ma'asiyah, from disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he lives off the things that he is already accustomed to, the things that his body himself is used to, from eating and drinking. And other than that, in the days of Ramadan, during the days of Ramadan, for the whole year, one is used to having his breakfast, having his lunch, having his brunch, and having these little bites of snacks or coffee or whatever. But so even if he craves these things at the time in the month of Ramadan, during the day, he stays away from it. He doesn't do this, and this is patience, even though he wants this. And the Shaykh continues, said, وَيَزْبِرُ عَلَى ذَلِكَ طَاعَةً لِلَّهِ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى. And he is patient upon that, upon the things that he is accustomed to, the things that his body is used to. He is patient by staying away from these things in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَإِذَا صَبَرَ الْمُسْلِمِ فِي شَهْرِ الصِّيَامِ وَامْتَنَعَ عَمَّا أَحَلَّ اللَّهُ لَهُ. And if a person is patient, وَإِذَا صَبَرَ الْمُسْلِمِ, and the Muslim is patient في شهر الصيام, in the month of fasting, وَامْتَنَعَ عَمَّا أَحَلَّ اللَّهُ لَهُ, and he prevents himself from the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made halal for him, has allowed him, لأن الله حرم عليه ذلك في أيام شهر رمضان, because Allah has made it haram for him during the days of Ramadan. Allah has allowed you to drink what is pure, what is good. Allah has allowed you to eat, and Allah has allowed you to do and many of the things that would addatan in other days out of the days of Ramadan. You are allowed to do this, but it is not haram to eat. It is not haram to drink things that are pure and good. But in the days of Ramadan, from sunrise until sunset, you are not allowed this. So a Muslim, he brings himself upon patience from staying away from this. لأن الله حرم عليه ذلك في أيام شهر رمضان فليدرك أيضا أن الله قد حرم عليه الحرام مدة حياته وطوال عمره. And so let the Muslim bring upon himself, let him know that there are things, affair that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made haram, has made prohibited upon him as long